This is the AEG framing nailer. In the US, it would be called the Ridgid framing nailer, and I'd love to tell you all about it, but I've got to go do some framing. So far so good, no misfires or anything like that, everything's gone where I wanted it to go, so yeah, I'm liking it so far. I like the fact that you never have to turn it on, you just pick it up and go. The nailer's going good, but I want to put something a bit stronger here. I want to make this connection a bit better than just with nails. So I'm going to use some of these Simpson SDWS framing screws. They're 89mm long, they're coated and they're a bit tougher and will have a bit more holding strength than a nail, because this bit of wall is a little bit odd. This thing is beginning to get heavy and I haven't got all my nogs in yet, but it's going to rain shortly, so I think I'm going to stand it up, prop it up against the house. Well, I've got no complaints about this thing so far, and I have most of my nogs in. I have not done the ones on the end. Do you call them nogs or dwangs? I call them nogs. A lot of people like to call them dwangs. What do you call them where you live? Let me know, it's out in the comment section. So anyway, nogs, dwangs, whatever. We've got, look how scabby that wall is. Couldn't be bothered cleaning it, I thought I'd just cover it up. It was behind the shed before. Anyway, so I leave the end ones there, and I've left the end ones down here because those ones, to make sure we've got this end stud straight and good and plumb, we can pull this over with a clamp or something if this is bowed or anything like that. So we'll leave these last ones till the end so we can measure it and get it perfect, so that if you'd put this one in first and then you'd whack this one in, you might end up pushing this one out. Comprende? And then at this point here, of course, it's going to be a little bit tricky to nail, to get the nail gun in this tight gap, so I'll probably whack some Simpson screws through here, some like 8-inch screws. So I've fired just over 100 nails and the battery showing 3 bars. That was a damn sight easier than nailing off by hand. So much quicker too. I'm really beginning to like this AEG nail gun. She's working perfect for everything I need at the moment. So the battery is now flat. I have built this wall with it. I have nailed off all this fibro with it. I have built this bit of wall and another small piece of wall that is inside the garage. So that's not too bad for a 3 amp hour battery. And the battery went right down to flat, unlike the Hikoki nailer, which only gets to 2 bars, sometimes only even 3, before it won't fire again. Okay, let's take a closer look at the tool now. As you can see, it's a pretty big looking unit, but is it any bigger than the others? Not really. By others, I am of course talking about other gasless battery only nail guns. It feels pretty well built. I'm pleasantly surprised at how solid it feels. It is a brushless tool. It is F rapid fire. What does the F stand for? Maybe it's something that they're not allowed to print on the tool. We've got a belt hook. We've got a rafter hook, which I don't particularly like. It's a bit bendy, and I'd rather have a wide one. This one I can't hook over hardly anything. So yeah, one that was 90mm would have been better for me. It works with an air cylinder, which is refillable. Now this is still, as far as I'm aware, the only one where you can top it up yourself if it starts to lose power, unlike the Hikoki or the Milwaukees, which you have to take it in to get serviced. With this one, you just remove this plastic piece here and you just hook on one of your like battery tire inflators, top it up to 125 psi and you're good to go again. Now don't think that you can get away with topping it up to like 200 or anything, because if it goes over, this thing will self-deflate back down to 125. As standard, it comes with the no mar tip, which is nice. Some people may call it a no mark tip. Either way, it has a piece of sprung metal around the outside to help keep it on. It's a pretty rigid piece of plastic. It's not sort of a soft rubbery one, unfortunately. So it's not the nicest no mar tip, and it's not the easiest thing to get on and off either. There's an easy dial here on the front for getting your depth setting right, although it doesn't tell you which way it is going. There's no arrow or anything, but it's pretty obvious with the way this moves up and down. It's not the nicest tip in the world for a nail gun. It's not the best for access either. It's not quite as good as the Milwaukee, I don't think, but it is a bit better than the Hikoki. Speaking of the Hikoki, here it is. This is the nail gun I've used the most in recent years, and it's a good nail gun, but it does have issues that annoy me, and most of them surprisingly are solved with the AEG. Size wise, you can see the AEG is a little bit taller, but if we look at the girth on the top here, this thing is massive. This one is much smaller, but overall the AEG does kind of look like a bigger tool. It's got a bit more height, a bit more length. The magazine on the Hikoki is plastic with a metal protective strip on the bottom to help protect it when you slam it down, whereas the AEG is an all aluminium affair, and it feels a much nicer magazine than the Hikoki, and especially with the nails going through. Now this is the problem I have with the Hikoki. This thing dry fires a lot. By that I mean it goes bang, you think you've fired a nail, it's left a hole, but you then let go of the piece of timber and move away, and the piece of timber drops to the ground because it didn't fire the nail, because the nails just jam and don't go down very smoothly, and it's done that right from the start. I haven't had any problems with this one doing it. Now I'm not sure if it's the tape getting caught in the magazine just because of where they have the rails and stuff in this, but yeah, you've got to keep pushing against this. It's like the spring's not strong enough, even though it feels pretty strong. You've got to keep pushing against it to get the nails to go through, which is a pain. Seems to do it in little spurts and fits, and it's done it with every brand of nail. It's not just one particular sort of nails. The other annoying thing about the Hikoki, this area down here where you turn it on is a pain. You hold your finger on it for a while, you can't see the lights outside. It turns off too quickly, and when you're using these multi-volt batteries, once you get to 2 bars, this thing will not fire nails anymore. And sometimes, even when it's on 3 bars, it won't fire nails. So the batteries never get right down, so you can't fire that many nails on a charge. I don't know if other people have that problem with 18 volt batteries, but I know these batteries are no good. So you get nowhere near as many nails fired as what they claim, because the batteries, it won't fire once they're at sort of around the 50% mark or even higher. Whereas the AEG will run the batteries completely flat. Now with this green light will go red when the battery is getting low, or it needs maintenance, i.e. you need to top up your cylinder in here with a bit of air. If it flashes, it means you've got a jam, which is pretty clever, although you should have worked out there was a jam, surely. And if you do have a jam, there is an Allen key here to remove the front to clear your jam. So that's held on the tool, which is nice. The AEG doesn't have an on-off button. If I pick it up, you'll notice a green light has appeared at the base of the handle. That green light will stay there as long as I'm holding this tool, because built into the handle is a little trigger just here. And so when you pick it up, you automatically hit that with your fingers, and then bang, I can then pull the trigger. It has to of course be actuated by the tip, but the tool is just basically always on, which is a huge plus over all of the other cordless, gasless nail guns that I've seen. The Milwaukee's pretty good. You turn it on at the back and it stays on a long time, but this one you don't even have to bother. You just pick it up, bang, always ready to go, and that is an awesome feature. Although maybe not the safest. Now I'm surprised that feature is allowed when in New Zealand they usually remove, as they have in this case. If you buy this anywhere else on earth, there will be a button here for changing this to bump fire mode instead of full sequential mode. Now this one will only do full sequential mode. there is no bump fire. Now, bump fire isn't exactly illegal in New Zealand like a lot of people think it is, but it's a grey area. It's not allowed on most building sites, so they don't bother putting them on the nailers. They take them off. But if you buy the right tool from the right shop in New Zealand, you can get the bump fire mode. But just be aware, if you buy one with bump fire mode, you might get in trouble on your work site. That's not a problem for me because I make my own fucking rules. This is the A18F10FN. That's the model number. 18 being the voltage, 10 being the gauge of the nails, FN meaning framing nailer, and this one has NZ on the end because, like I say, it's made just for New Zealand and doesn't have the bump fire. Now, the magazine it comes with will hold 67 nails, but you can get an extended one, so if you want to stick 2 clips and nails in at once, you can do that. AEG say you can get around 1,000 nails on a 6 amp hour battery. I think I got about 240 on this 3 amp hour battery. It has a dry fire lockout for when you get down to about, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe 7 nails. It will not fire until you load another clip into the magazine. The onboard tool is also the same size as the screw you need to remove so that you can get to the area to top up your cylinder. And there you go, it just clips on, simple as that. And pump it up to 125 and you're good to go. How often do you have to do that? Well, according to AEG, between 20 to 30,000 nails you'll have to top that thing up. And they've put an O-ring around your little bolt here so that you won't lose it. It can't drop out, which is a nice feature. It's good to see that they've thought of so many little things that other nailers haven't. It is, however, in a slightly annoying place to get done up and undone. So it takes a while, but hey, still pretty cool feature. So this nail gun's been good to me so far, doing framing, haven't had any issues, no problems, sinks the nails nicely. But now we need to give it a tough test. Now I haven't got any LVL offcuts or anything around to test with, but I do have some of this bamboo composite board, which is evil shit. This is so heavy, I can't believe how heavy this stuff is. It's full of, they call it bamboo composite, it's full of chunks of metal and just whatever crap they've swept off the floor. There's all sorts of different coloured shit in it. It blunts blades just by looking at them, blunts router bits. It's just horrible shit to work with. And it's so dense. So I'm going to fire some nails through this stuff. We'll layer it up, see how many it can go through. I'll start with just the one onto some pine behind it. And we'll test it against the Hikoki. I will, of course, test this nail gun up against all the other cordless, gasless. Sorry, that excludes the pass load, I know. Oh no. So we'll do it up against the Hikoki, the Milwaukee, the DeWalt maybe. And I'll do that once Makita release their new framing nailer. Then I'll compare them all. I know, could be waiting a while. So as well as a power test, that also turned into a good example of showing you the recoil and the vibration that the end user ends up with. That's you. So the Hikoki sunk the nails much better. Most of them are close to getting flush. Got a couple of odd ones at the end here. The AEG a bit more erratic. They're a little bit sort of bent. They're not as straight as these ones. They're all sort of twisted at the end. And the recoil from the AEG, much more noticeable. I could feel it shooting up my arm and through my tennis elbow, much more on this than this. So, for power, sinking depth, and recoil, the Hikoki does beat the AEG hands down. I don't think I need to actually fire this through any more layers of this stuff because I don't think they're going to really do it. I think that was a good enough test for me to feel the extra vibration that you end up having to take when using this tool over this tool. Now I'm quickly going to talk about price. I don't normally do that in my videos, but I feel I need to with the AEG stuff because I feel it is overpriced in New Zealand. When AEG first started, it was a cheap tool. When they first started, they only sell them at Bunnings, and when they first started, they were good prices. They were worth giving a go, you know. But now the prices have ratcheted up so much that they are on par with the known top brands: Milwaukee, Makita, Hikoki, DeWalt, that sort of stuff. So when you look at the price of this as a bare tool or even as a kit, it is comparable in price to the Milwaukee or even the Hikoki. And when it comes to DeWalt, well, the DeWalt is much cheaper than this. So if you were going out to get a nail gun, why then would you buy the AEG when the Milwaukee is the same price? Because although I think it's a good nailer and I like it, if I had to choose a tool I wanted to use every day and I wanted to last, I don't know if I would go for an AEG unless they were substantially cheaper, which they are not anymore. So in my opinion, you're paying the premium price for tools that aren't premium grade, which is a shame. Now some people are going to disagree with that, of course, and say that AEG tools are just as good as the other brands, but you don't have to read too many Bunnings reviews to see that that is not the case. Anywho, having said all that, I have fired around 1,000 nails now with this thing, which isn't a huge amount yet, of course, but I will give you an update if anything goes wrong with it. But so far I do like this nail gun, and I think for AEG tools it is one of the better ones, if not the best tool that they probably make. So if you want to see me review any other AEG tools, oh, there's one sitting in the background there, then let me know down below. And otherwise, I'll see you on another review from somebody else next week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like and all that stuff, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.